Right now in Miami, some homes are just stuck. Price cuts, 60 plus days on the market, frustrated sellers. But at the exact same time, other homes are still getting multiple offers in the first weekend. I'm Milton Andrade. I've been helping people buy and sell homes in the Miami area for over 2 decades. And in this video, I'm breaking down the 6 types of homes in Miami that are struggling to sell right now, and the 5 types of homes that are still hot. So, whether you're buying or selling, you can stop guessing and actually use this market split to your advantage. Because the Miami market is not just one market. It's 2 completely different markets happening at the same time. And if you do not understand which side of the market you're in, you can expect to make a very expensive mistake. Before we get into each category, I want to walk you through the one number that explains almost everything happening in Miami right now. It's called months of inventory. Here's how it works. You take all the active listings on the market today. Then you divide that number by the average number of homes that have sold per month over the past year. The result tells you how many months it would take to sell every listing if no new homes came on the market starting today. When months of inventory is at 3 months or below, that is a seller's market. Sellers have the leverage. Homes move fast. 6 months is considered a balanced market. Neither side has a clear edge. When inventory climbs above 6 months, that is a buyer's market. Buyers have more choices, more time, and more negotiating power. Now, here's where Miami gets interesting. Right now, Miami-Dade single-family homes are sitting at about 5.4 months of inventory. That is still close to balanced, and in the right price ranges, it can still tilt towards the sellers. But Miami-Dade condos are sitting at about 12.9 months of inventory. That is definitely a buyer's market, a significant one. Same city, same moment, 2 completely different market realities depending on exactly what you're buying or selling. And when you drill down even further by price point, by building, by neighborhood, and by property type, the spread gets even wider. That is what this video is really about. Not the headline number, the actual breakdown. Because my job is to protect you from the costs, the risks, and the mistakes that do not show up on the listing page. And that starts with knowing which side of the split your home sits on. So let's get into it. Struggling category number 6. Attached homes in the upper price range. That means condos and townhomes in the $400,000 to $600,000 range and above. This is a segment where supply has been building faster than demand can absorb it. And there are a few reasons why. First, financing has become a real issue. A lot of buyers do not realize this until they are already deep into the process. Many condo buildings are simply not eligible for the type of financing buyers want or need. If a buyer needs FHA financing, the number of approved buildings is extremely limited, less than 1%. Second, buyers are much more sensitive to HOA fees, reserves, and assessments than they were a few years ago. That is especially true after Florida's new structural integrity and reserve requirements. Older buildings now have more scrutiny, more inspections, more reserve requirements, and in some cases, the potential for large special assessments. For sellers in this segment, presentation and pricing discipline are non-negotiable. You cannot just put the unit on the market and hope someone falls in love with the view. You have to be better than the competition in every measurable way. Price, condition, documentation, building financials, assessment exposure. Buyers are going to look under the hood. And if the building financials are not clean, or if the monthly cost does not make sense, they're going to walk. For buyers, this segment can actually create real opportunity. If you're cash capable, or you have strong financing, and you find a building with clean reserves, strong management, and no major assessment issues, you can negotiate in a way that was almost impossible 2 or 3 years ago. Another area seeing real challenge is older resale condo stock in downtown Miami and Brickell. And this is where a lot of sellers are getting frustrated because they look at their unit and they say, my condo is beautiful. My view is great. My building is in a prime location. And all of that may be true, but buyers are not looking at the purchase price anymore. They're looking at the full monthly number, mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA, parking, assessments, and potential future increases. This is the number that matters. Brickell and downtown Miami still have tremendous appeal. You have walkability, restaurants, water views, luxury buildings, and a lifestyle a lot of people really want. But the older resale condo market is facing pressure because buyers are becoming much more cautious. In many buildings, HOA fees have increased significantly. Reserve funding is now a bigger conversation. And rental numbers in some buildings are not as strong as they were during the peak. That changes the investor math completely. It also changes the affordability math for end users. The structural issue is that some older buildings cannot access the widest pool of finance buyers. For sellers in older buildings and downtown buildings, you need to price with the full monthly cost burden in mind, not just the unit. Your buyer is doing that math, and if the total number does not work, they'll move on to a building that does. For buyers who are cash capable or buyers who are comfortable doing deeper due diligence, this segment can offer real value. You may have leverage, but you need to know the building, not just the view. This is where the real risk and the real opportunity live. Here's another segment that is struggling: the finance luxury market. Roughly $750,000 to $1 million. This is the price range that feels every single movement in interest rates. Because a lot of buyers in this tier, they're not paying cash. They're financing. And when rates move, their monthly payment changes dramatically. One large loan, even a small change in the rate, can mean hundreds of dollars more per month. That gap is not a rounding error. For many buyers, it can be the difference between qualifying and not qualifying. The result is that homes in this tier are staying longer. Buyers are much more cautious. They're comparing more options. They're asking for concessions, and they are not rushing into overpriced properties. The bigger problem in this segment is the pricing psychology. Many sellers are still anchored to 2021, 2022, 2023 values, but those values were supported by a completely different buyer, the buyer who could absorb high prices and lower rates. That buyer does not exist at the same scale today. The buyer who remains are much more informed, more patient, and much less willing to overpay. For sellers in this range, the strategy is simple, but not always easy. Price against current buyer capacity, not against what your neighbor got 2 years ago. Stage the home properly. Make it feel move-in ready. Fix the obvious issues. Document everything. And remove friction from the process. Buyers in this price range have options, and they know it. For buyers, this can be one of the more interesting opportunity windows in Miami right now. You have negotiating room that did not exist 2 years ago. And sellers who have been sitting for a while may be much more realistic than the listing price suggests. Before we move into the next struggling category, I want to pause here for a second, because every buyer and seller situation is different. And understanding exactly where your home fits in this market or which segments make sense for your budget requires knowing your specific price point, building neighborhood, and timeline. If you're thinking about relocating to Miami, download my free Miami relocation guide using the link in the description. It breaks down neighborhood trade-offs, true cost of ownership, insurance and flood exposure, and the questions most buyers do not think to ask until it's too late. The link is in the description below. The next category tells a different story. The $350,000 to $500,000 move-up range is stuck. Not because homes are bad, not because buyers don't want them. It's stuck because the people most likely to sell these homes don't want to give up their current mortgage rate. And the buyers most likely to buy them are feeling the full weight of today's affordability. Here is the problem on the supply side. Many owners in this range lock in mortgage rates that are much lower than today's rates. They may be sitting on a 2.8, 3.1, or 3.5% mortgage. If they sell today and buy something new, their next loan could be dramatically more expensive. That payment shock is real, and it keeps getting a lot of people from moving. On the demand side, buyers in this price range are extremely payment sensitive. They may want the home, they may love the location, but if the monthly payment doesn't work, they can't stretch forever. The combination creates a strange market. Supply is constrained because owners don't want to sell. Demand is constrained because buyers are cost sensitive. And the homes that do come to market have to be priced very carefully. This is where pricing strategy matters more than hope. A home that is priced correctly from day one can still sell. A home that is overpriced by even a little can sit. And once it sits, buyers start asking questions. What is wrong with it? Why has it not sold? How much lower will they go? That is how you lose leverage. For sellers in this range, the path forward is clean presentation and realistic pricing. Make it easy for the buyer to say yes. Fresh paint, clean landscaping, clear disclosures, and a price that makes sense from day one. For buyers, this segment may offer opportunity if you know how to read days on market. A seller who has been sitting for 30, 60, or 90 days may be far more flexible than they appear. But you need an agent who knows the difference between a seller testing the market and a seller who is truly motivated. Struggling category number 2 is resale condos competing against new construction. This is a major issue in Miami right now. It's not just a pricing problem. Resale condos in the mid-market are competing against newer construction. And in many cases, that competition's not even close. Here is what resale sellers are up against. New construction often feels cleaner to buyers. The building is newer. The reserved picture is clearer. The amenities feel fresh. The design feels modern, and the buyer does not feel like they're inheriting somebody else's deferred maintenance. Then add developer incentives, rate buydowns, closing cost contributions, design credits, temporary HOA incentives, flexible deposit structures. A resale seller usually cannot match those terms unless the price is compelling enough. And that is the challenge. If you're selling a resale condo competing against new construction, you have to do one of two things. Either make the price attractive enough that the savings clearly outweigh the newer construction premium, or offer something new construction can't. A better location, a better view, a more established neighborhood, immediate availability. For buyers, this competition can create value because some resale sellers are finally becoming realistic. If you find a newer resale condo in a well-maintained building with clean reserves, good insurance, and a seller who understands today's competition, you may be able to negotiate a deal that would not have existed 2021 or 2022. Struggling category number 1. That's overpriced listings in any segment. This is the number 1 category struggling in Miami right now. This one cuts across every neighborhood, every price point, every property type. It is any home that is priced above what the current buyer pool is actually willing to pay. That is the biggest mistake sellers are making right now. And I want to be very clear, a good home can still sit if it's priced wrong. A great condo can still sit if the HOA makes the monthly number too high. The strategy that worked a few years ago does not work the same way today. Back then, sellers could list high and assume the market would catch up. Or they could list above the comps and hope buyers would compete. And today's buyer is different. Today's buyer has the data. They can see your price history. They can see comparable sales. They can see days on market. They can see if you've already made a price reduction. And they're not going to meet you halfway if they know you started from an inflated number. Price reductions also send a message. It may be necessary, but they can also signal weakness. They invite lower offers. They extend your days on market, and they attract a more skeptical buyer. For sellers, the message is direct. Price where the market is today. Not where it was 2 years ago. Not where you wish it was or need it to be. It needs to be well prepared, priced correctly, and it will move in this market. Wishful pricing is getting punished. For buyers, the message is the opposite. Don't rush, don't overpay. Study the price history, study the days on market. Look at the seller's behavior. If the home has already reduced and still has not sold, you may have more leverage than the asking price suggests. Now that we have covered the struggling segments, let's talk about what's actually moving, because this is not a dead market. It's a split market, and some segments are still very active. Hot category number 5. That's accessible condos from $300,000 to $500,000. The first hot category runs counter to what most people assume when they hear condo market is struggling. Because yes, the broader condo market has challenges, but accessible condos in $300,000 to $500,000 range are still attracting serious activity. Why? The price point still works for a larger pool of buyers. This tier is accessible to international buyers, domestic cash-capable buyers, investors, and end users who are looking for broader condo softness, and they're saying there may be value here. Miami continues to attract global buyers, and many of those buyers are not sensitive to mortgage rates as domestic finance buyers. They're looking at Miami as a long-term lifestyle and capital market. That matters. For sellers in this range, the opportunity is there if your building is clean. And by clean, I mean clean financially. No major assessment exposure, strong reserves, good insurance, reasonable HOA fees, and no major red flags that scare buyers during due diligence. And if you have that, make it easy for the buyer to verify. Transparency can set you apart. For buyers, this may be one of the more interesting value windows in Miami condo market. You can still find good options. You have more room to negotiate. And if you buy in the right building, this tier can make a lot of sense. Hot category number 4, Miami townhomes. This category is one that more buyers should be paying attention to. Miami townhomes are sitting in a very interesting sweet spot. They offer some of the lifestyle benefits of single-family living. You have your own entrance, often more space, sometimes a small yard or patio. Usually less of that high-rise condo feeling, but they're often more attainable than a single-family home in the same general area. Townhomes are benefiting from demand coming from two directions. Condo buyers who are nervous about assessments, reserves, and high-rise building issues are looking at townhomes as an alternative. And single-family buyers who can't find what they want at their price point are stepping down into townhomes. That is a powerful combination. Townhomes are capturing both groups. For sellers of Miami townhomes, this can be a strong position. But you still need to price correctly and present the property well. Do not assume the market will do all the work for you. For buyers who want something between a condo and a house, the townhome deserves serious attention right now. The demand is not random. It is structural, and the forces driving it are not going away quickly. Now, whether you're looking at struggling segments for buyer opportunities or other hot segments to plan a strong sale, every situation is unique. The right strategy depends entirely on your specific price point, your timeline, your building, and your goals. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or relocating to Miami and you want a numbers first breakdown of what makes sense for your situation, reach out before you move. Use the link in the description to schedule a call with me directly, or call or text me at 954-629-9952. Based on your specific situation and timeline, we can work out the best strategy for this split market. And now, let's talk about one of the strongest active segments. That is hot category number 3. And that is single family homes under $600,000. They are still attracting serious buyers, especially when they are priced correctly, in good condition, and located in practical neighborhoods. I had one recently that had 6 offers on day number 2 and all full price. Why? Because it was a beautiful home that was turnkey and didn't need anything. Buyers don't want doubt. These buyers have adjusted. Rates are not where buyers want them to be. But many buyers have accepted that waiting for 3% rates again is probably not a realistic strategy. They still need to move. They still want more space. And in Miami-Dade, where the median single-family price is much higher than it used to be, anything under $600,000 can represent relative value. That does not mean every home under $600,000 will fly off the shelf. Condition is going to matter. Location is going to matter. Insurance is going to matter. Presentation matters. But if the home is priced properly and it checks the right boxes, this is going to move. For sellers, this means you may have real buyer demand. Don't waste it by overpricing. For buyers, the segment has the clearest sign of improving demand. If you see the right home, you need to be prepared. Not reckless. Prepared. Now, hot category number 2, and that's Coral Gables and Coconut Grove single-family homes. Demand is still intense, and it never really softened the same way as it did in other neighborhoods, because there's high-income buyers that specifically want to move here. And there's a reason for that. Scarcity, lifestyle, architecture, schools, location, proximity to the best parts of Miami, and buyer pool that is driven by end users, not just speculation. These are buyers who want to live there. They are not just chasing a short-term trade. They are settling in, and when a well-priced, well-presented property comes up in this pocket of Coral Gables or Coconut Grove, buyers respond quickly. For sellers in Coral Gables or Coconut Grove, you are in one of the strongest positions in the market. But the same rules still apply. You have to price accurately, present exceptionally, and do not assume that a great neighborhood automatically excuses bad pricing or poor preparation. For buyers targeting these neighborhoods, the reality is straightforward. Supply is limited. The best homes don't sit forever. And the buyers you are competing against are often motivated, well-qualified end users with cash. So come prepared. Be pre-approved or cash ready. Understand the specific pocket. Hot category number 1, that's the $1 million plus cash dominated market. This is the hottest segment in Miami right now. This is the segment that the headlines often miss, because the national conversation is all about rates and affordability. But in this segment, mortgage rates don't matter in the same way. A large share of buyers at this level are cash buyers. They are not asking whether they qualify for the payment. They are asking whether the property fits their lifestyle, their capital strategy, and their long-term plans. That changes everything. Miami has become a global capital market for residential real estate. Buyers are coming from Latin America, New York, California, Canada, and other major markets. Some are moving here full-time. Some are buying second homes. Some are buying for family. Some are buying for lifestyle. Some are buying because they view Miami as a long-term store of value. And that buyer pool behaves differently. It's much less rate sensitive. much more global, and more decisive when the right property appears. For sellers in the $1 million plus range, the playbook is clear. Price accurately, present exceptionally, market internationally, and understand who the real buyer is. For buyers entering the $1 million plus market in Miami, the competition is real, and often cash. So you need to know your position before you make an offer. My job is to protect you from the costs and the risks that do not show up on the listing page. Reach out before you move. Use the link in the description to schedule a call. Or call or text me at 954-629-9952. I'm Milton Andrade with Polaris Advisors at Compass, and I will see you in the next video.